Welcome to the Brutal, Bizarre, and Boozy podcast. I'm Declan, the son.
And I'm Jane, the mom. Enjoy a drink with us while we tell you some wild stories of the brutal and bizarre variety. Please keep in mind some of our stories might be upsetting to young or sensitive ears.
This is the podcast where we talk about brutal crimes, bizarre occurrences, and get you drunk with cocktails themed around one of our stories. To lighten things up, we like to end our time with a chaser. All right, Mom, what story do you have for us today after that Lulu distraction?
Yes. Hi, Lulu, my little grandkitty. I have the story about Ryan Jenkins, who murdered his wife.
Mm, I also have a Ryan story.
You do?
Yes, I'm
Oh,
talking about the unusual experiences that Ryan Greaves experienced.
oh,
Just
okay.
realized I used experience twice in the same sentence, but I'm gonna roll with it.
Okay. Before you tell me about your drink, I want to do a quick shout out to another podcast. That is the podcast Figures in the Dark. It's hosted by roommates Tori and Taylor Shea. They cover true crime cases and paranormal stories. So similar to us, which is always fun. You can tell that they're really good friends and they have a lot of fun doing their recordings. They enjoy telling each other their stories and then they compare opinions. Lulu, you're being distracting.
Sorry.
That's a bad producer.
I know. She's had a little too much energy today.
Oh, she needs you to play with her.
I know.
Anyway, go go check out the Figures in the Dark podcast. You will have fun. It's a really good show. So check it out. So,
Sweet.
tell me tell me this drink that we're drinking. I'm a little nervous about it
Why are you nervous? It sounds good.
because it's gin and it's got the syrup in there that I can't figure out how to pronounce because two different sources say it's pronounced differently and it's almond flavor and yeah, I don't know. I'm scared.
So we're drinking the Army and Navy. That's what the cocktail is called.
Okay.
And you'll see why this connects here shortly.
Okay.
So this drink is, or at least the recipe that I found, there's a couple different famous recipes. So this one calls for 1 part lemon juice, 1 part orgeat, which is how I pronounce it. How do you pronounce it?
Well, I looked it up and it was in the US it said it's pronounced orgeat and then in French it's pronounced orgeat.
Okay, so it's like foyer and foyer. Like they're both right,
Ye-
but we
yeah,
pronounce
I
it differently
guess.
here. We say
Yeah, I
foyer,
think so. Right.
foyer and orgeat or orgeat.
Orgeat or orgeat. I don't know, whatever. It's almond
So
flavored. That's all I know, and that's what
yes,
scares me.
it's an almond flavored syrup. It's similar to simple syrup, but it's flavored. It's got some special stuff in it. I don't exactly know what's in it, but it's almond
Okay.
flavored. So it's this drink is 1 part lemon juice, 1 part orgeat, and 2 parts gin.
Okay.
This cocktail first appears in David A. Edinburgh's 1948, The Fine Art of Mixing Drinks. So
Oh.
establishing a made before date is it's a little less known, but upon its name, folks suggest it originated at the Army and Navy Club in Washington, D.C. The club's lounge is also said to be where the famous daiquiri cocktail was introduced in the United States.
Oh, I like a daiquiri.
Yeah. So this place has made some very famous cocktails.
Sounds like it.
Are you ready to try it? I'm excited.
Yes. Okay. You're excited. I'm scared. Here we go.
mm, that's
Oh,
good.
I am pleasantly surprised.
It's that like little. hint of nutty like sweetness. It's kind of like a lemon tart almost or something.
I taste more lemon than I don't taste any almond at all, which
Oh, I don't
I'm
have a
very thankful
measuring.
for.
Well, it's just parts, so I don't know. I
Yeah,
What kind did you get? What kind of did you buy yours?
the orgeat
Yeah.
or yes, I bought it at the store because I tried to look up how to make it, and one recipe I found was extremely complicated, and I was like, "I'm not making that. I'm just gonna go buy it." So I
Yeah. I had to
bought
run to
it.
like two stores to find
Did
this
you?
weird bottle that was like super tiny, and I was like, I this is the only one I
Mm,
could find without having to make it, and it's gonna cost me 20 or $30 to make it. So I'll just buy it for
right.
5 from the weird store. So yeah, it's
Well,
pretty good.
if you decide that you want more of the syrup, we have, like, a giant 2-liter jug of it because that's all our store had.
Okay. I'll take that.
So,
I
we got
There's a lot of
plenty.
drinks I like that have orgeat in it.
Okay. Well, I'd be willing to drink
Alright.
it again and go find other things to drink with it. I expected it to be, like, super fake almondy flavor like marzipan. I hate marzipan, it's gross, but
Yeah.
this
I
is good.
I think the orgeat would be good in like a rum chata cocktail. Something with
Hmm,
rum chata in it.
maybe.
I think, but that's already pretty sweet. Maybe something a little,
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. Let's get into this story.
Okay, tell
enough
me.
enough
Tell me
side
about
chat.
Ryan's stuff.
So Ryan Greaves is a former pilot for the US Navy, hence the Army and Navy cocktail.
The drink. Okay.
Yes. So he has a degree in mechanical engineering. For about a decade, Ryan flew F 18s in live combat and training situations, in which him and
Okay.
other naval pilots would simulate dogfights to prepare for battle if need arose.
So he's a
For part of
badass and he's smart.
Yeah, he's a super smart guy
Okay.
who flies super crazy jets
Cool.
for the Navy.
Awesome.
So, for part of Greaves' time flying with the Navy, he used a radar system called the APG 73. This radar system was used from 1999 to 2006. During 2006, the Navy entered a maintenance phase where they upgraded a lot of the components of their fighter jets. The APG 79 was adapted as the main radar system at that time, which was way more efficient than its predecessor. Ryan was piloting in a restricted military airspace off the East Coast, and he went out for a regular training flight with some other jets from his crew. When the pilots reached altitude, they looked into their instruments and as they usually do, that's when they noticed multiple blips on their brand new radar. I'm not quite sure how radars work, so I'm just going off of like movie context, like a little circle, and then if there's something near you, it's just a
Comes
dot on the
around.
radar.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think they mean by this, but I've never really
I would
seen a radar
assume.
before, so I don't
Neither have I.
know. The objects picked up on their radar were moving in an unusual way. They weren't flying in a smooth line like a jet would. The objects maintained a consistent path but sort of stumbled and meandered in a way that seemed to defy all laws of gravity.
Ooh. Like,
So
um,
so if they were coming in, they were like a jet flies in a fairly straight line,
yeah.
right? Like it's not jumping around and stuff. This thing was
Mhm.
like it was flying in a general direction, like it had a purpose of where it was flying, but it wasn't in a straight line. It was kind of bobbing up and down and like rotating and like
Oh,
moving in weird ways that jets just can't.
so it couldn't have been like a bird or anything.
No, I don't think their radar picks up birds, but I don't know.
Oh.
Because I think it has to
Oh.
be like big enough or maybe some kind of electrical stuff. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to understand that kind of stuff.
You are smart enough. You just haven't researched it. It's okay.
They communicated over the radio and decided to proceed with their training since they didn't appear to pose a threat. They couldn't identify what the objects were, but it didn't seem like they were going to harm them in any way, so
Mhm.
they just kept an eye on them and continued with their training. But this
Okay.
wouldn't be the last time Ryan and his fellow pilots would encounter these unknown objects. The pilots would observe these objects behaving very strangely, whether they were traveling faster than current technology allowed or standing completely still in winds upwards of 150 miles an hour.
What?
Yes.
W
So they're going faster than we could go and also standing completely still in 150-mile-an-hour winds, which Ryan claims we don't have anything that can consume the amount of energy to do that. So, because he said it was standing completely still. And if you were in a helicopter, it'd be like you could probably stand fairly still and like hover, but you'd be like moving around slightly. But this thing was just
Right.
right there.
Completely still not oh.
Yeah. At this point in time,
Oh.
neither Ryan or the other pilots had physically seen these objects, but their radar had picked up hundreds of them. Yeah.
So so how close were they? How close were these objects to Ryan's aircraft?
So
Like,
initially,
within eyesight?
no, no. So
Oh, okay.
their radar picked them up like fairly, not like close, but they could pick them up. So they were aware of them,
Okay.
but they weren't really going close to them at this point.
Okay.
So, uh, one of the other pilots found one on his radar and decided to fly up close to it
Yeah, I would.
because no one had seen one yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I would,
Uh,
'cause I'm
the
nosy.
pilot used his FLIR camera to look in the direction of the radar ping, and the FLIR is an infrared camera.
Okay.
FLIR cameras show hotter objects as darker black and cooler objects as a lighter gray or white. The
Okay.
objects were black almond-shaped figure, meaning that they are emitting a large amount of heat because it was
Oh,
just a completely black like object on their infrared radar.
weird.
As the pilots watched this object soaring through the air, it was rotating like a gimbal, which is like one of those things that holds cameras steady. So you can like move it around and the camera will stay. So it was like
Oh,
moving in a straight
like a
path, but it was
gyroscope?
rotating. Yeah, like a gyroscope. So
Mm,
it was flying straight. And I
and
recommend
rotating
everyone
at the same time?
watching the video of it. If you look up gimbal UFO video, it's pretty crazy. So it's very hot. It's like a black circle, and then it's got like two little ends pointing out, and the ends are rotating. It like freezes and then it like rotates again while
Oh,
moving in a constant path, going extremely fast.
okay. We'll put a clip in the show notes.
Yes. The crew were experiencing these objects every single day. Multiple objects would appear on their radar and observe them.
Mm,
Every day they went out for training, they were up there. And they seemed to be up there before they went out and long before they came in. So upwards of 15 hours a day, which
wow.
we can't do. Ryan said that
Right, we
most
would run out of
times they go
fuel.
out, if they're in a dogfight, they can only fly for about an hour before they need to refuel.
Oh. So you
Yeah.
said that one of the pilots veered off to try and see it.
Hmm.
Did he actually see it?
He didn't see it with his eyes. He saw it through the FLIR.
Oh. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was the gimbal-y moving gyroscopy thing. Okay.
Yes. One day, two pilots for Greaves Squadron went out for a flight. And as they were leaving the base, one of the objects flew directly in between the two aircrafts. And this was the first sighting that they caught with their eyes.
Oh.
The pilots report seeing the object with their eyes, and they say the object was a black or dark gray cube that was surrounded by a transparent sphere.
Ooh.
It's hard to visualize what that looks like, but I think I have an idea. I'm picturing
Yeah.
like a black Lego inside of a bubble.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, that's a good description.
Over the next
That
couple of
was
years, the
wild.
pilots, yeah, that was the first sighting that they had seen, and when planes fly together, they kind of fly similarly to how like a pattern of geese would fly.
Mhm.
So one person is in front and they're watching for everything in front of them, and the second person is focusing just on the first
Okay.
jet.
Okay.
And so the first pilot didn't see the object, but the second one did, since it flew directly between them. He got a
Mm.
direct sight of it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
over the next couple of years, the pilots became very familiar with these objects, and the interactions continued to get stranger. Multiple pilots report the objects jamming their radar, and they reported the objects being around 15 feet in diameter. Ryan
And
Greaves was
not
focused on
aerodynamic either, right? I
no,
mean, it's a
a sphere
sphere.
inside of a bubble. Yeah, it's so weird.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, sorry.
Ryan Greaves was focused on pilot safety, so when the object started to endanger his pilots, he started to bring this info to his higher ups. After receiving news of what Ryan and the other pilots witnessed, Ryan was called to speak with the Senate of the Armed Service Committee and the Senate Select Committee of Intelligence to explain his experiences. By the way, I'd just like to say I'm proud I didn't stumble on that. It was very tough.
Good job.
Shortly after Gree's meeting with the Senate, I just fucking jinxed it.
You did. You jinxed yourself.
Shortly after Greaves' meeting with the Senate, a program was developed to allow pilots to report these unusual phenomena and to speak with someone about it. There have been plenty of UFO or UAP sightings ever since. However, those are stories for another podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what Ryan Rees and the other pilots experienced. They were
Oh,
seeing them every
gosh.
single day
For how long?
for years, ever
Years.
since they upgraded back in like the 2000s, around 2010ish. I think is when they fully got all the stuff.
Changed all the radar
Yeah,
and
don't
stuff.
quote me on the
Oh,
dates, but yeah,
that's freaky to think that
yeah. And
they
he
were
talks
out
about
there.
this
I mean,
whole experience on Joe Rogan. So if you would like to hear a 3-hour explanation of it, I would recommend go listening to him because it's a
yeah,
very
for sure.
interesting podcast. But I just kind of summed up all the important parts,
The
trim the fat
details.
off.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Gosh. That would be so wild to be you just think you're up there doing your thing, minding your own business, training, and then this thing goes flying by and you're like, "What the hell was that? It doesn't look like anything else we've ever seen."
And especially like the first, like right after they upgraded, it was probably so freaky. You get up there and you see 5 unknown objects flying right next to you on the radar,
Right.
and you can't see them, and it's like, what the, what's going on?
Yeah.
Seems super weird,
Wow. Oh, that's creepy and freaky and weird
freaky.
and
Yeah, very
terrifying
strange.
and whew.
But they never hurt anybody. They never like crashed into any of the jets, so they seem to be
Yeah.
not hostile at least, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's so like I feel like I want to know what they are so badly. What are they?
So they've recently actually started a program to study what these are. So hopefully we'll find out soon.
That's good. Do you
Yeah.
think they'll tell us? Or do you think it'll be like,
About
no, we don't
5 or
know?
10 years after they find out. Once they
Oh, I
figure out how to
say
break it to
longer.
us.
I'm saying like at least a decade or more,
Well,
like
okay, so
a good 20 years later.
the gimbal video, that was taken in 2014, I believe. So,
Okay.
that was a little less than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, maybe
Okay. And
if
that's
they
been around for a little while. So maybe.
yeah, that came out, like, 2020, right?
But that
Try
was
and
just the video.
get
That was the
everybody's
video
mind
of
off COVID.
like, yeah, exactly. They're like, oh,
Yes.
think of this other thing.
Distraction.
Ooh, shiny over here. Woohoo, look over this. Yeah.
It's like throwing sand in someone's eyes in the middle of a fight.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
"Here,
I
look at this."
just I honestly think that um I question whether or not they'll tell us the truth. I know government doesn't tell us the friggin' truth about anything. So I I
No.
think that if they do find out, they'll downplay it dramatically
Well, they'll give us
because
the
people
bare
will
minimum
freak the
evidence.
fuck out. Yeah, they'll be
Yeah.
like, they'll just go, "Ah, we figured it out what they are, and it's fine." And that's it.
Yeah.
They won't tell us anything other. It's fine. Really, it's fine. They just blow shit out of proportion that's not important, you know? Whatever.
True.
Well,
Alright.
would you like to hear
Tell
my
me
Ryan story?
Yes, tell me your Ryan story, your brutal
Okay.
Ryan.
My Ryan story is not he's not a nice guy. He's not a great guy. No. So, I will
Okay.
start. Many people know about using fingerprints and dental records as a means of identification. If you are familiar with true crime stories, you probably also know that surgically implanted appliances can be another method of identification. Well, for one victim, it was a key
Wait,
factor.
what are
Appliances,
appliance
just,
jewelry?
like
Like earrings, is that what you're talking
things.
about?
No, I'm talking about like if
Like,
you have a knee,
crowns on your teeth.
if you have a knee replacement, then there's
Oh, like a
serial
metal
numbers
knee. Okay.
attached to that. Yeah. If you get
Okay.
something implanted into your body, there's going to be a way to track it.
Okay. I didn't know they were called appliances. That's a good way to call in.
Well,
It seems a little
yeah,
less morbid or
yeah,
gross, I should say.
it's kind of an appliance. This in this story, it's not really an appliance, but you'll find out.
Okay.
One murder victim, uh, the implanted device, we'll call it a device. It's not really a device either. The implanted item was a key factor in identifying her remains and also very likely identifying who her killer was. This is the
Mm,
story of Jasmine Fiore and Ryan Jenkins.
okay.
Jasmine Fiore was born Jasmine Lepore in 1981. She was raised by her mother, Lisa, in Bonnie Doon, California. Jasmine changed her last name from Lepore to Fiore because she believed it sounded more like a star's name, and she had aspirations of being a star. Jasmine was naturally pretty, but changed her appearance on occasion. She changed her hair color several times and also got breast augmentation. Her beauty helped her become a swimsuit model and an actress. Her mother described her as feisty. Jasmine moved to Las Vegas for a while for work, and that is where she met Ryan Jenkins. Ryan Jenkins was born in 1977 in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. He was a real estate agent and investor around 2001, and he continued in this career until the recession occurred in about 2009. In 2007, Jenkins was convicted of assault for his girlfriend at the time. He was sentenced to 15 months probation. He was also ordered to attend domestic violence counseling and therapy for sex addiction. Soon after the real estate market became volatile, Jenkins was cast in a reality TV show for VH1 called Megan Wants a Millionaire.
Mm.
So he headed off to California to film the show. He was described by the show as an investment banker with a net worth over $2 million, which I don't know why they described him as a banker, because
He's a real estate agent. Right?
yeah. And maybe after the market crashed, he like went into the
Maybe
banking.
he
I
lied to
don't
them
know.
and just said he was
But
an investment
well, it
banker.
very well could be. And VH1 apparently made a statement about the show, like, it's kind of fun to figure out if these people are telling the truth, basically. The people on the show, meaning. So it very
Okay.
well could be that he certainly kept other things from the producers of the show.
Yeah,
Anyway,
most likely.
yeah. So Jasmine and Jenkins met in March 2009 in Las Vegas, and 2 days later they were married, which that's unusual to get married that
Yeah,
fast.
that
So,
that's very quick.
yes. After they were married, Jasmine and Jenkins moved to Los Angeles. She earned her real estate license and was planning to open a gym. Not all of Jasmine's friends knew that the couple had been married, but many had noticed the relationship was rocky. A few times the couple went back to Canada, where Jenkins introduced Jasmine to his friends and family. Some of Jenkins' friends were not big fans of Jasmine, describing her as manipulative. And his father would later say that Jasmine would often leave Jenkins for days at a time and then lie about where she went. Jenkins did not feel the need to inform his new wife about his violent past. Remember, he had been convicted of assault and sentenced to probation. He didn't tell her about that, which,
Oh wow.
yeah. Um, he didn't tell her about the previous assault conviction in Canada. A few weeks after the wedding, Jasmine and Jenkins were in Las Vegas, and Jasmine learned firsthand about his temper. The couple argued poolside at a hotel, and he hit her in the arm, which caused her to fall into the swimming pool. He was later charged with domestic violence and was set to go to trial for those charges in December of that year. However, as many domestic violence cases go, the couple reconciled. And in August 2009, the couple were in San Diego for a poker tournament. So they traveled back and forth between LA and Vegas quite a bit, apparently, but they actually lived in Los Angeles. And they went to San Diego for this poker tournament, which is a couple hours south of Vegas, or of Los Angeles.
Okay.
In San
Well,
Diego, yeah.
he sounds like a real nice guy. That's all
Well,
I'm
it's
gonna
gonna
say.
get better. Gonna get
Oh,
better. It can
great.
only get better. This is the brutal story, right?
True.
It's not gonna end well. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So they checked into a luxury hotel and went to their tournament. In the early morning of August 14th, 2009, the couple were seen leaving the tournament location together. And then not too long after that, they were spotted at a club in that vicinity in downtown San Diego. About 2 hours later, Jenkins was seen entering their hotel alone, and he checked out at about 9 a.m. The next evening, August 15th, Jenkins reported Jasmine missing. He reported that they had gone home to Los Angeles on August 14th. So the dates, like, they stack up pretty quick. It's a short amount of time, so I'm going to give you all the dates. He
Okay.
reported that they had gone home to Los Angeles on August 14th and that Jasmine left him there at about 8:30 at night. She went to run some errands. So that was his story. This was so confusing. On August 15th at night, he reported to the police that Jasmine was missing. He said that they had gotten home the day before. Jasmine left the home on the 14th and never came home.
Okay.
So, uh, on what he didn't necessarily know was that earlier in the day on August 15th, a body had been discovered. So, unfortunately, someone
So
found.
the
Go ahead.
next day after he had claimed she left.
So, on his story, August 15th, he said, Jasmine dropped me off yesterday.
Okay.
And he waited about 24 hours to report her missing. Earlier the
Okay.
day that he reported her missing, a body was found.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, a body was found in Buena Park, California, which is about 2 hours north of San Diego and about a half hour southeast of LA. So, confusing in the time, but also there's distances involved. So, in LA on the 15th, he said, "My wife dropped me off yesterday and I haven't seen her since." And about 12 hours before he made that report, somebody found a body a half an hour away from where he made the report.
Okay.
The body was severely abused. It was naked. It was a female body shoved inside of a suitcase.
Ew.
Yes. The body showed signs of strangulation. The teeth had been removed and the fingers were missing.
Tried real hard to hide her.
Yes. Police obviously believe these measures were taken to prevent the identification of the body. That may have worked, except for the fact that the victim had had breast augmentation. So she had
Oh.
a boob job done.
Hmm.
Yes. It took 3 days, but authorities were able to use the serial numbers on the implants to identify her as Jasmine Fiore.
Wow.
Police also found her vehicle abandoned about a mile away from her home. Remember, her body was not found in the same town as she lived and not found in the same town as where she was last seen alive. So, in the vehicle, there were signs of a struggle with hair and blood found inside. The day after reporting Jasmine missing on August 16th, Jenkins packed some bags and left his home. He went to Nevada and picked up his speedboat, because that's what you do when your wife is missing. You go get your speedboat, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do for sure. I mean, you never know when you're going to need your boat. Okay? Gosh.
Yeah.
The next day, August 17th, Jenkins had been contacted by the police and he told them that he was in Utah but headed to Canada for some immigration problems because he's a Canadian citizen. So he said he had to go back to Canada. At the time, the body that had been found in Buena Park still had not been identified. So Jasmine was still listed as a missing person. That was when he had last spoken with police. Her body was identified the next day on August 18th.
Okay.
The day after that, Jenkins had made it to Washington State, which was August 19th. He called his father, who advised him about Jasmine's death because it had hit the news, I guess. Jenkins was, of course, considered a person of interest in the case, but had not been charged at that time. However, border authorities had been alerted to keep an eye out for him because they figured, well, he said he's going to Canada, and he's a Canadian citizen, so let's make sure that Canada knows, to look out for him.
Mm-hmm.
His vehicle was spotted at a Washington marina with an empty boat trailer. It is believed he was able to cross into Canada sometime on August 19th or the 20th, possibly by foot. On August 20th, Jenkins was officially charged with Jasmine's murder and an arrest warrant was issued. Later that day, he was seen checking into a hotel in Hope, British Columbia, Canada, with a woman who was later identified as his half sister. She paid in cash for a 3-night stay and left the hotel about 20 minutes later. The hotel manager had seen Jenkins walking around the hotel for a few days, like walking around outside and things like that, but had stated that his appearance was so poor, he was unrecognizable to the picture that had been blasted all over TV, stating that he looked like he'd lost weight and he was exhausted. And so he didn't recognize him and so he didn't report him being there. When no one checked out on August 23rd, the manager went to the room to check on the guests. He entered the room to find Jenkins hanging from a clothing rack by a belt wrapped around his neck. Jenkins had written a will on his computer dated the day he checked in. It left his belongings to his family, but there was no suicide note. Police believe that Jenkins was the sole perpetrator of Jasmine's death.
Damn.
And that is the story of Ryan Jenkins.
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
But good thing she got those breast implants. Or else she
Right.
probably would have never been identified.
I mean, now with, all the DNA stuff, they probably could have figured it out. But, back then, without the serial numbers from the implants, that's what made it possible at that time to identify her. So,
yeah, that's a crazy story.
Yeah, caught by a boob job.
Yep, and hung himself in a hotel. That's
gruesome.
Seems like a really fucking sad way to go out.
Right?
I'd rather get shanked
Yeah.
in jail or something. You
Let's hope you never
just traumatize some poor housekeeper who just came in
the
to change the
manager.
sheets.
No, the poor manager of the hotel. He was just checking. He wanted to get them to pay for another night, maybe. I don't know. Oh, jeez. Can't even imagine.
That's rough.
Yeah, super rough. Ugh. Well, do you have a chaser for us? And we'll see if we double up on our chaser again like we did last episode.
Yeah, I'm going first this time.
Okay, you go first.
All right. So my chaser today is an article I saw posted on Instagram by
It's
a post called
mine's an article
Broken
too.
News, probably from the
No,
same
okay.
news place. Okay.
It's not.
So, Biden has just announced that he will be releasing all the information about who killed JFK in December.
In December.
Yeah, he said he's going to release it in December, but apparently he has already had the opportunity to release it, and he missed the deadline. The deadline was in October 2017, and then Trump postponed it, and Biden also postponed it several times, but now he says they will be released in December.
Okay.
So
I
maybe
will
we'll
believe
find
it
out.
when I see it.
Yeah, me too. But that'd be very interesting to finally get the answer all these years later.
It would be interesting. Very interesting.
Because of that thing I was debating doing JFK this week. But
JFK
I decided
story.
not to because it's such a fucking long story.
It is
There's
a
so
long
many
story, and
details that you
it's
have to cover.
Right. It's complicated and convoluted. And then do you try and stick to the details that, are publicly known, or do you get into the controversial stuff and the
I
conspiracy theories? And
I
I
think
mean,
if
that's a rabbit
we
hole for rabbit
decided
holes.
so I think if we decided to do JFK, we would need to both do it. We'd have one person do the brutal part where they talk
Oh,
about the factual stuff and what happened, and then the bizarre talking about conspiracy theories. So if you guys would like to
yeah.
hear
I
that,
like that. Yes.
please
Let
let
us
us
know.
know. Yeah, because
You
that
can
sounds
reach
like it
us.
would be fun.
Oh my gosh.
Or
You can reach them
Instagram,
on
wherever.
Facebook,
Just
Instagram,
check the
email.
description. I'm sure we've got some stuff
Right.
in there you could reach us on.
Check the show notes. All the links to reach us are in the show notes. You can definitely find us.
Yes. So what is your
That
chaser
would
today,
be
Mom?
okay. My chaser, like I said, is also an article, but it is not about JFK or Biden, and
Okay.
it is not from Roca News. So it's an article I found on Apple News about the booziest cities in America. And I thought
Ooh.
it was so fitting for our show.
Yeah.
And it talks about how they measured the drunkenness of the city is that they measured it by the percent of the population that either binge drinks or drinks heavily throughout the week, counting 4 to 5 drinks in a sitting or 15 or more drinks per week. That was their drunkenness scale.
Okay.
Okay. Do you, I just want a guess. Where do you think what state do you think has the most cities on the top 20?
This is just a random guess, but I'm gonna say Louisiana.
No, it's not.
Hmm.
That was a good guess, though.
Okay.
Not even
Was
sure
I
if
close?
Louisiana made the list.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's Wisconsin.
Oh, that makes sense. They make a
Does
lot of
it?
corn.
I
Corn,
guess. So
a lot of alcohol is made out of corn, I think.
7 out of 10, 7 out of the top 10 are from Wisconsin, and 12 out of the top 20 are Wisconsin as well.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's
So,
crazy.
the funny thing is that your city, Corvallis, Oregon, is the 20th on the top 20 list.
How? Jesus.
I know, right?
It's such
I
a
did not
small
expect that.
town. What the fuck?
I I thought Eugene maybe because it's bigger
Oh, yeah, it's
and,
like a bigger party town, I
you know,
think, but
yeah. Yeah, a bigger
wow,
college
that's
party town.
crazy.
I mean, Corvallis is a college town too, but um yeah, I don't know. Corvallis was ranked 20th on the top 20 list.
Wow.
So,
Speaking of Corvallis and Eugene, did you see the results of the game last night? Civil
I
War?
did. I did. They were ahead.
Interesting
Eugene,
results. Yeah. They were getting
Oregon was
whooped. It was
ahead
like
so long.
it was like
And
30-10
then
in the first
yeah.
like half. And then we turned the game off because it's like, oh, we're getting washed. We don't want to watch this. And then Carter
Yep.
pulled it up on his phone. He's like, oh my God, like we're
Yeah.
close. And
Fourth
then we
quarter.
put it on.
Fourth quarter, they took over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Apparently
Yeah.
one of the like once all the fans rest the field, one of Oregon the University of Oregon students punched a fan. Or one of the
One of the
athletes, I should say.
players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
I
of the
saw an
players
article
punched the
about that.
fan.
Yeah. That's just, I mean, come
Yeah.
on. It's not the fans' fault that you lost. Grow up.
He was probably yelling some shit though. I guarantee you Oregon
Still.
State fans aren't nice.
Well, but neither are U of O fans. I mean, every fans in any
Oh,
stadium are going to talk shit They're going to be, saying crap. Just be a grown up and let it go.
One last chaser tidbit
Oh, another chase.
thingy.
Okay.
Uh, University of Oregon got a huge fine this season because the student section was chanting "fuck the Mormons." Yeah,
What?
I can't remember who they were playing against, but it was some
Oh,
Mormon
well, it's
college, I
probably
believe,
Utah.
and
It was
they
probably
got a
something out of
huge
Utah.
fine because they were
Oh
yelling
my
"fuck the Mormons."
God. Wow.
Yeah,
That's not
that's
cool.
wild. That's not cool.
Nope. Nope.
That sums up student section at University of Oregon though pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Been to a couple games there, and it's not the
It's
best
like that.
experience. Yeah, at
Shitty.
least the student section sucks.
Yep. Crazy.
Alrighty, and I believe that is the end of our podcast this week. Thank you all for
Yes.
listening.
Thank
I
you
love you,
very
Mom.
much. Love you too, bud. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening and supporting our podcast. We would love for you to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. And if you want to give us a 5-star rating, we would forever be grateful.
You can contact us at our email via thebrutalandbizarre@gmail.com or on our Instagram at thebrutal_bizarre_boozy.